Welcome to Integrated Planning, where we take an integrated approach to growing and protecting your wealth. My name is Sophie Blais, and today we're going to be talking about the 6 key areas of financial planning. So last but not least, the final area to look at in financial planning is estate planning and legal aspects. So again, I will state for the record, I am not a lawyer. I have worked with lawyers throughout my career as part of the integrated planning teams, but there are some core areas that you need to take into consideration as you're working through your financial plan. Number one, and probably the number one recommendation I've made in my career is, do you have a will? Only 49% of Canadians have a will in place. And I would suggest that of that 49%, there's a percentage of them that aren't up to date. And that's really important. If there's one thing that you take away from the estate planning side is make sure you have a current and valid will in place. The biggest excuse that we hear on the planning side is, I'm too young, I don't need that, there's nothing's going to happen to me. Well, I've seen many situations where a client passes away and the will is old, or there is no will in place, and it creates an absolute disaster for the loved ones that are left behind. So if you die without a will, it's called dying intestate. And what that means is effectively the government will decide what happens with your estate. Who is going to take care of your estate? And what are the 3 aspects that kind of come into play? So we talked about the will, so that makes sense. It's also important to have a power of attorney. So who is that person that you designate to take care of your affairs in the event that A, you are incapacitated and can't make your own decisions? There's also a personal directive for health. So in estate planning, one of the most important decisions that you can make is who will be the executor to your estate. That sounds easy, but that's really tough. And those of us who've been executors or worked with executor teams often say that if you don't like somebody, ask them to be your executor. It is a really tough job, and what you can do to make sure that it is as easy as can be and is as smooth as possible is to make sure you have your affairs in order. There are 2 other pieces of documentation that you want to make sure you have in place from an estate planning perspective. One is a power of attorney. So making sure that in the event you are unable to make your own decisions, financially, things like that, that you have somebody that you trust that can do that. Some people like to appoint 2 people. That's fine as well. Just make sure they're in the same province. There's some things that you want to keep in mind to keep things simple. The other one is a personal directive for health. That one's often overlooked, and it does not have to be the same individual that you appoint as your power of attorney. The person that you appoint for your personal directive for health is that individual where if there is a health decision to be made, they are the ones to make that decision. They have the authority to make that decision if you're unable to do so. As it pertains to a will, there's one thing that people need to keep in mind. Divorce does not nullify a will. So we often see people come in with old wills, they're divorced and they believe that their will doesn't come into play, but it does. So if you're divorced and you haven't updated your will, your estate could very well go to somebody you don't want it to. So one of the other key areas to look at when it comes to estate planning is shareholder and partnership agreements. I'm not going to get into a ton of detail on those, as you should be working with your professional team of planners, CPAs, and lawyers. But there's 3 topic areas that you want to cover when you're looking at your shareholder agreement. The 3 topic areas, often called the 3 Ds. The first is what happens in the event of death. The second is what happens in the event of disability. And the third is what happens in the event of dissolution. So the company dissolves itself. So planning is complex. Business planning is even more complex. So proper planning is important for everyone, and business owners even more so. So working with that A team, that integrated team of lawyers, accountants, planners, is really key to making sure that your goals and objectives and what you intended to happen for your business is actually what happens. Financial planning can be really daunting. And the reason why most people find it daunting is because they think of it as one event. Planning is a journey, and it's something that is living and breathing. It's not a one-time event where you go and you plop some numbers into a system and you spit out a binder and you walk away and, I wish you the best of luck. You want to make sure that you have regular touch points with your planning team and with your integrated team. You want to be able to make adjustments and changes as things change and adjust in your life. And really that living, breathing financial plan will bring you the best life that you can live. So one thing I always tell my clients is planning isn't all about the numbers. So it's not about what is that magic retirement number or how much do I need to save. It's important to understand when you're planning that there are lots of math answers, but make sure that you take into account kind of where your heart is at, what's important to you, what your values are, and if you're able to meld your head and your heart, you will actually come up with the best financial plan for you and your family. If you enjoyed what you heard and you learned something new, feel free to press like or subscribe to our channel so that you can continue to get great updates on financial planning. Click the link below if you'd like access to some of our free resources to help you in your financial planning journey. Make sure you reach out to your financial advisor or CPA to make sure you have the right A-team behind you to reach your business and personal goals.